Yeah, eating them. I don't know what they're eating. Chicks.
You just set it on the, did you sign?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Here.
this one, this one.
Thank you, Tom.
You wanna turn the table so you can see better?
When we go to use the screen, we'll need to do something.
You all set, Jeanette?
Yep.
Gonna call it to order at 6:30.
What's the Pipe Connection LLC?
That's with Adam, the place going across the road.
everyone get a chance to look at the meeting minutes that I
No.
sent this morning?
I haven't. I didn't get out of work until almost 5.
It's kind of lengthy. I don't know if you want to even attempt.
I was gonna wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here's that agreement to sign.
These are the same terms as last year, correct?
Yes.
And we already motioned and approved to go forward with this company, right?
Yes, we did at a previous meeting. Revised personnel policy.
I'd like to make a motion that legal weigh in on that before we sign that.
To weigh in on the personnel policy changes.
I'd like them to see it and give their opinion on it before we sign it.
I mean, this is the policy that's been in effect for several years, and it's just making those two
You know, it's
changes.
fine, and I just like to hear what the legal have to say on it, that's all. So,
The other thing you might want to update in there then is the comp time should be at 1.5 times the hours worked, not 1 time.
We already have approved, a motion to approve the personnel changes with the changes that we made,
Yeah, we did that.
and we already approved it, so we basically are ready to sign the document.
That we did. Okay. That was to put them in. And I'll get a second on that. Roy, weighing in on this.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion?
I don't think it's necessary. I think that
Okay.
you should be able to go ahead and sign it and all in effect tonight.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
A support letter for the Rails to Trails project. Hi there.
Let's look around.
Yes, package.
Supporting the railway.
Sorry, say again?
We're supporting the railway going, them fixing it, going again.
We're supporting the concept of having the rails to trail, having a trail system and building on the recreational.
The
Economy
recreation
of it.
part.
Yes.
Okay, I just
Yes.
want to make sure I understood that right.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you just need a last name.
CHARON.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have to sign this, or?
We should sign the letter. We already voted that we would go with this. It's just the actual letter.
Just
No, at the
initial it.
bottom.
Down at the bottom.
Let's see. 1999.
We got a call from an organics recycling place that wants to know if we're interested in implementing a food waste management system. I told them I'd ask. I'm like, probably not something we'd look at right now, but He keeps calling and emailing, so
So would it be at our transfer station?
probably.
And is there a cost to the town?
Probably.
But we really don't know.
'Cause we get a pile for compost anyways, you know.
I'm sorry,
I said we get a pile for the compost already.
at the transfer station?
Yeah.
Okay,
Because, you know, as you're going in,
Just
Right
inside
there on the
right.
okay.
'cause that's where everybody's been throwing, you know, pumpkins or leaves or whatever.
If you wanted to send us detailed information, but I don't think we can act on it without knowing what he's talking about. I mean, what do we do with our compost pile there?
Well, it's my understanding it's this, after it's compost, you know, if you want the bucket of it, you go get it.
Okay, and somebody's turning it?
Yeah.
Taking care of it? Okay.
Kyle does. Most of the time he's growing pumpkins.
Yep.
How is he anyways? Kyle,
Yes, he's all right.
he fell and hurt his shoulder, hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael told me.
Yeah.
I didn't know if,
He just said he'll be out a couple weeks to a month. That's all I know. I mean, he didn't give any great detail. Just that he fell and hurt his shoulder at home. Carl sent an email regarding the HB 1221. He's asking for permission on behalf of the planning board to contact town legal so that he can find out exactly what's required of the planning board and the town due to this new bill that was signed into law that goes into effect on September 17th. He said he'd like to be able to have a clear understanding of it prior to their October meeting.
He's looking for an update on it.
No, he wants to get the legal
Advice.
on it, yeah.
And then that sounds like a logical approach. I make a motion to authorize Carl to contact legal counsel.
I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We had someone come in, I don't believe she's a resident of Dalton. She's looking for a place where they could play pickleball Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. She wanted to know if they could use the gym. She said that usually they tape lines on the floor and it's not something that they would remove after every session. I told them that we probably want things removed or if they could use something else other than tape. And I didn't know if it was something that we would want to charge some type of use fee since it's regular Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 3 hours each day.
What's pickleball?
It's like a sport that's like taking off. It's kind of like tennis, but a low-key type of tennis.
Between
with a
tennis
wiffle
and-
ball.
yeah.
And a
Tennis and
different-
ping pong or something.
Yeah, but it's extremely popular. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to offer a court here for people, because a lot of older people are playing pickleball. The concern I have with it being in a gym is I know in some communities, there's a lot of complaints about noise. So with the gym, I would think that would just amplify any noise.
Well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, I'm the only one here to hear it.
Okay, but
I mean,
well, I would have a concern on, where we have a floor issue, is that gonna affect that floor with them running around, or, I don't know what pickleball is either to get till I see it.
yeah,
So I'm just concerned about the floor, the wear and tear, or damage possibly, I don't know. So
Shouldn't
that's something we
be,
need to think about.
yeah. I mean, the floor is a commercial grade floor, so it should stand up to it. And basically, it's like tennis, but with wiffle balls. So it's not as high impact. What concerns me is taping the
Right.
court on the floor. 'Cause
Right.
Pulling that up, I
Yeah.
can see that creating problems.
probably just leaving a residue on the floor, but still, then that's something that someone else has to go back behind them and,
And clean it up.
Right.
But I don't
And
know.
I'd prefer not to, I agree with you, I prefer not to see that. You know, what kind of tape, if it's strong enough tape, but where it could start it to get
I
in
think
there.
it's just masking tape.
I don't have any idea.
I mean, I just thought about heating the gym for 12 to 15 hours every week during the winter. I mean, I don't look at it as them using it, I look at it as an expense. It's an additional expense that we would have that we don't usually have because we don't keep the gym at 70 degrees or whatever in the winter.
That would be a good idea then.
Well, unless you ask them to pay some type of use fee, and I had mentioned that, and she said that that would be okay, just depending on what it was.
I think it'd be nice to be able to have pickleball here. Is it open to anybody in the community to come play?
We didn't get into a lot of detail because I had someone else in my office, you were calling on the phone, printing checks, getting election stuff ready. She just popped in, so
Okay.
it was, I didn't know she was coming. I mean, I can always call her and get more details.
I mean, I think it would be a great idea. The concerns I have would be noise, and then just the tape on the floor does not seem to me to be a good plan for the floor.
I'd like to, I'm not against playing games, but personally, I think I'd like to wait a year to see how the floor's gonna withstand everything. I mean, we got a lot of money in the floor, I just hate to.
Well, the
Yeah,
floor in the
yeah.
gym hasn't been an issue. There's
What's
not
that?
been any issue with the
Right,
floor.
you're right,
The floor in the gym.
right.
And it's, the more it's used, the better it should be. I mean, your problem usually is when you have little to no foot traffic as opposed to just people with gym shoes on.
I don't know the right answer. And if we did do it, the heating bills that we've been seeing, you know, what do you figure on charging? I mean, because that's a big area to heat.
And but they'll also be running around, so they shouldn't need it, right? I mean, you're
Right.
running around, so.
Yeah.
Maybe we
But
should ask
should have,
her.
could have.
What?
Of the heat.
Well, I did mention it
Did
to
you?
her because of that. They currently play in Lancaster, but I guess Lancaster is using their area more and more, so. I mean, I think it would be great to use the building, that's why it's here, but at the same time, we need to cover expenses that would be incurred.
So in Lancaster, they've been doing it inside,
That
and they've been
down
taping
there.
the floor and then removing the tape?
They do put some tape down on the floor and remove it. The area that they use has some lines already there, so they
It's a hardwood floor where they go to, right?
yeah, it's a gym type floor,
So,
gymnasium.
I mean, hardwood would stand up better than what we got out there, I would think.
It almost seems like if they were gonna put tape down, it'd be better to leave it down rather than to remove it.
Well, I don't know, because then you're stepping on it. It's
And then it
And
gets,
it's gonna be grounded in.
then it's
and
ground
then you
in,
won't
Yeah.
get it
yeah.
out.
I mean, you put masking tape down, you pick it, you take it back up, you put it down, you take it back up. I mean, it's just masking tape. It's when you leave it that you're probably more prone to
Have it stay.
have it difficult to remove.
Well, I personally, like to wait. That's my opinion.
And I'm thinking if the tape is easily removed and you're not gonna object to the noise, then,
And they willing to concur the cost of the heat.
Yeah, I mean, if, like I just mentioned to her, that we have people who use the facility here and there, and we usually don't charge, but if you're looking at using the facility regularly, then there may be some type of use fee that they want to propose, and she said that that's fine.
and I'd be more inclined to this since they're not Dalton residents.
Right. Yeah, she didn't say she was a resident in Dalton, and she said that they have played regularly in Lancaster. So I'm assuming she didn't say she was a resident. She didn't look familiar, and her name doesn't sound familiar, so. And you could always try it, and then, I don't know.
That might be a good idea, is just trying it to see how it goes for a month, maybe, or would that be reasonable?
And what type of fee do you guys want for a use fee?
Like $100 a month cover heating costs?
Well, how much are they gonna use it? They gonna use it
3 hours?
3 hours on Monday and Wednesday, and what'd you say?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to do it Friday if I wasn't here, though.
So how's it? I mean, they would burn up, at least, I would think, would be in a big area, burn up 30, 40 gallons pretty easily in a month.
But if they're active, they won't need to heat up that high.
Yeah, you're right, but the chances are, they're gonna come in cold and they're gonna want to.
Well, we keep it
We
at
don't know
60.
that, unless somebody monitors it,
We keep it at 60
right?
during the winter.
They might not even have to turn it up.
Right.
Well, I'm willing to let it try for a month, we'll look at it, and if everything is kosher, and when they need to know that, if month-wise, if we're not happy with the floor or whatnot, we'll put a stop to it. I think that's fair.
I'll agree to that.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor?
So
Aye.
motion.
Tom?
And is that with a fee, or
So we're saying $100 a month?
does that sound reasonable, or is that high, or?
I don't think so, for a month.
Look at your, you've got Jeanette here, you've got the library on 2 of those 3 days, so they're already here. 100 may or may not, I'd say, if you're just starting it for a test, try 75.
That's a different heat system, though.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I'm just saying,
and I would just do $100. You're talking about roughly 12 hours, give or take.
And everybody's gonna put in a couple of bucks and it's,
Right.
So $100 is good.
And so is it gonna interfere with the library, with the noise?
No, because the library doesn't open till 2.
Okay.
And they'll still have to give their $100 deposit.
I mean, that's our policy.
That's our policy, right?
Fill out the form and everything.
Right. The only other thing that I had was the Chris Ennis's right to know. I haven't gotten anything from you guys since we talked last week,
Yeah, I forgot all about it.
so I need to get those things so I can respond to that.
You're not waiting for it to continue, correct?
No, I got yours. So if you guys could try and get me that stuff sooner the better, because it's already late.
There's new stuff to get.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah, no, you talked to an HMA already, and that's, I got a right to talk to anybody on the phone. It's not a conversation with a select board member.
it's not who we had the conversation with, it's what it was about.
It wasn't a meeting.
That's not, it. Tom, please read the right to know request again.
So,
Read the right to know request again and please respond accordingly. That's all I'm asking for. It's clear in there what she's asking for. That's all I have for open stuff until we get into the, you want me to go right into the revised revenues? Do you guys have anything else before I go into this?
well, I want to make a motion that we follow up with the Casella
Oh, yeah.
on the host agreement, because it's just gonna fall on the wayside, and I think, is that something you want to talk about?
Well, we gotta get a financial advisor first.
Or what?
Okay.
If we're gonna do a house agreement. And then have Casella pay for it, ask Casella if they pay for it,
They said in their other agreement that they'll take care of all
legal.
the legal.
But then that financial advisor.
Well, they said it that in the meeting, we don't have it in writing.
No, we gotta get it right, I agree 100%. But we're still in negotiations, and there are things that I'd like to ask them to up the ante a bit, you know. And I think it would be, and I agree, we need to work on getting a financial advisor here, but
When did we start negotiating with Casella on the community host agreement?
We haven't yet.
Well, he just said we're still in,
well, they came and they gave their
It's skill.
presentation on it, what they would do.
right?
And then they said that if we get any questions or anything we want to add, that we could call them and say, would you consider this as well? And I got some things I'd like to consider, but I didn't do it without talking to the board first.
No, that's good. There's some language in there that I think needs a lot of work as well.
You know, when we have it legally, we'll be able to get that all, make sure everything is to the benefit of us.
Exactly, because the way it's written now, it's not. Eric just gave us is this the Coventry Host Community Agreement?
That's the one they gave to.
I have not had a chance to read that.
Yeah, right, and I haven't either,
So
and
I
I
don't,
think we
I
need
don't
to,
think
but
I don't think we're ready to do anything yet until we.
okay, we could do that, but I would like the board's okay to be able to go to them. I'd like to tell
I
them.
don't think any of us as an individual should go to them. I think we need to have more discussion as a board, and I don't think we're at that point yet.
But we can find out whether they would offer more is what I'm getting at. When I'm making a discussion, you know, if I went and asked them, or Eric or yourself, it's not something that's written in stone. It's asking, so they offered the 2 million and whatever, okay? And my thought was, you know, it's a rough year, and so would they consider doing a 3 million instead as an extra million for a startup fee? And that would help, you know, so what's wrong with asking that? Explain to me
But
what.
I think we need to look at the agreement and do it all at once and not do it piecemeal. And we need to, it'll probably take a whole meeting with us going through the agreement to point out some of the things in that. The other thing is that 2 million includes the property taxes, and I have no idea what the assessed value is, so we don't know what their property tax liability would be. It might be that right now they're, you know, basically covering their property taxes.
And we can get somebody that can go there and tell us, because when you build or whatnot, you can go to an assessor and ask them, what would it cost for my taxes if I built this house?
So
So we can do that instead of.
we
we're not
we absolutely can, but it's not going to be cheap. So for example, the assessment for Ampersand, which we need to renegotiate that pilot agreement, I believe that's $14,400.
That what?
$14,400 to get that assessment.
Yeah.
And that's with property that it exists, not proposed.
So we need to check with Skip Sansuzi, because he was the one who does sophisticated utility assessments, and see what he would charge, and also when he can do it. I mean, we don't even, there's a permit application. It was incomplete. More information has been submitted, but DES hasn't ruled that it's a complete application yet. So I don't know if he can assess it, make that assessment now, or whether,
Yeah,
at what time point. So we should have that conversation with Skip and Susie.
and so we should move on it then, because we're not gonna wait until Christmas time or next year, and lose out on a possibility. I'm not saying that they're going in there. My point of this whole thing is, whether they go in or not, we would be foolish not to do some sort of agreement and this town lose out altogether. Because they don't have to give us nothing, that's my point. And so, and I agree with a lot of things that you're saying. We can have those discussions, and we get a hold of San Souci, and he can look at what they got, and he can look at the acreage. He's a very smart man. He can figure out what the tax assessment should be on that without it operating, because it's going to be basically the same thing as they got there, but a smaller property, but the same buildings. So, and I if we got to do that, I move that we talk to him on that and get things rolling.
So we'll need to get a quote for how much he would charge and timing.
And I'd still like to make the motion that our board's permission to feel the system out, find out if they would do a startup fee for an extra $1 million. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen. It's just a question.
I know, but have you read the stuff that Eric gave us just at the beginning of the meeting?
Just skim through it.
Okay, so I think we've got a lot to put together in terms of what we want to ask. I don't think we're ready to go out yet until we work through what we want to ask for.
Well, then I'm gonna call and find out what the time frame is, because I'm not gonna lose out on the time frame.
Why do you feel like we're gonna lose out if we do things in order?
Because I'm not saying that we're not doing it in order. It's they don't have to give us anything.
True.
And once they say, they don't want to work with us, and they can keep moving on.
Absolutely,
And
they could
I
say
know
that
that.
now.
So what's that?
They could say that now.
That's right.
But if we go in and only ask for $1 million, who's to say we shouldn't be asking for 3?
Well, that's a possibility, but that's a start. It's not a finalized. It's not in pen yet. It's not written down.
I know up in Coventry, when I went up there Thursday, the fire department, EMS, they don't offer nothing.
So Bethlehem is not in that situation.
They could have been.
They had, I'm not so sure about that. I'd have to talk to the Bethlehem selectmen from back at that time. They had a host community agreement, but then the agreement said no expansion, but then Casellas wanted to expand, but I think we need to check with Bethlehem. Maybe we should go talk to the people, the townspeople in Bethlehem, and get their perspective on how things work there.
No,
So that we have, two different situations.
So did we only want to go to Coventry because we know Coventry is, I don't know, I don't want to put words in, allegedly comfortable with how Casella functions, and we don't want to go to Bethlehem
I
because,
only met with the selectmen up there. So I
well,
don't know.
I'm just trying to, she says, well, why don't we meet with Bethlehem? And Tom was very quick to say, nope. So that's why I'm proposing the question.
Because they did the same thing and they lost out. They lost out on a lot, and a lot of people are very angry now because they lost out, because they wouldn't talk to them. And I know
I
quite a
don't
bit.
think that's true.
I know quite a bit that came from Bethlehem, so I just know.
Well, I think I know quite a bit as well, and that's
I'm
not,
sure you do. But
There's
you
a whole
can't
nother
take away
side.
from what I know or you know. I mean, I'm thankful that you do know. But I know what I know. It's okay. You get your opinion on it, I get my opinion on it, and it's okay. We don't see eye to eye. That's okay. We just have to, we're gonna work through it. But we do need to move forward.
so as a board, we haven't decided what we want to move forward on, so we're not at that point as a board.
So then I make a motion that we read that over and have a work session on it and discuss it Because we can't just sit back and say, you know, it's gonna do itself, because it won't.
I think you suggested that anyway.
I said we should read through it, and we're gonna need to work through things, we need to,
Yeah, you did
I
say
mean, you
that, but
need-
I'm just saying, another meeting, you know,
I don't think we
like
need
with
a motion to do that.
No, we don't need a motion, but I mean, we need to do it soon.
And we also need to make sure that we are ready to get our tax rate set and get tax bills out as well. And make sure we get the business of the regular ongoing business of the town done as well. So we're gonna have to juggle priorities.
I'm sure we can get an extra day in there somewhere. We've always did that in the past, I'm sure we can do it now.
When's the class on the Senate tax rate?
It is, I believe it's next Thursday or the Thursday after.
Is that online?
No, it's in Littleton. Well, no, the tax rate, I'm sorry, there's a budget training by NHMA in Littleton. It's either next Thursday or the following Thursday.
But you have to register for it, we have to pay for that
Yeah.
NHMA one.
Oh, okay.
And I can't make
One
sure
with-
I would go,
It's worth you going.
I think the tax rate scheduling one with DRA, that's virtual, right, at the end of the month?
I
Or
think so. I think it's like September 30th or something. Did you not find the email?
I didn't even open it.
Oh.
It's my own fault.
Yeah, I'm not.
They have there's 7 classes that they're running right now.
the good governance?
Yeah, that's really good. I did the first one already, really good.
And which one was, I can't remember which, the order that they're in, I took it.
Good governance is first. And I forget, I haven't got a
Yeah,
witness on
no,
that.
no, it's a good session. It's good, it's worth doing.
And what I like about it the most is you're sitting at your computer and there's no noise and you can really pay attention to what they're saying. And you can actually type in and ask a question if you want. And they'll look it up and they'll ask the question. It's good.
You said the budget one's next Thursday?
It's either next Thursday or the Thursday after.
That's the actual physical class through NHMA in
It's in
Littleton.
like from 9:30 to 4
I
or
think it's a
something like
day
that.
long.
It's a day long. I don't wanna say,
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to make it next week.
I think it's the 19th, which would be what, Thursday?
yeah,
They were doing fire extinguisher re-ups, so.
Anything else?
I have a quick non-public.
I have non-publics as well.
Okay, so we're gonna wait till after we,
We can.
Yep.
We probably should. Right. One of those for each of you. Now you might want to move the table.
Tom?
Oh.
Move the table.
Had my mind on this.
Are you gonna move the screen a little bit too?
We can. You can move that sign, Tom. Is it big enough? Are you guys ready? I mean, you can look at it, you could ask me questions, I don't know how you wanna go through it, I could just read numbers, but there's no fun in that, so.
So basically what you've done is taken the MS 434 and you've added the updated estimate for this year, but you're,
The MS 434 is the revised estimated revenues. So what I did is this form is the revised estimated revenues, that's what you've been handed out. And then I printed it to include, it cut off the title, the original estimate.
okay.
So the column all the way on the right, where it's kind of separated from the rest, where it says estimate at the top, that's the original estimate.
Okay.
So that's what we originally came up with last year.
And the estimated is year to date?
It's through the end of July, because she's reconciling August right now.
Okay.
So it's through the end of July.
And we want to look at the calendar year for this exercise.
Yes,
Okay. So basically, we're a little bit more than 50% of the way through the year.
yes.
So the land use tax year to date is 10,500. I'm sorry, it's 17,500, so it's quite a bit higher.
Yes, but we have to split that.
Sure.
Which
So it'd be
sheet,
half
which
of
form are
that.
you looking at?
I'm looking at the land use tax.
Which sheet?
I'm looking at both of them. So if you look at the revenue detail by account,
Yep,
year to date is 17,500.
yep.
So that would mean that
No.
it's about 8,500 to the town.
No, year to date is 10,500.
Ah, okay. Prior to date.
Prior,
Thank you. Sorry. So we're actually under that, but we still have.
Yep.
Sometimes time to go, so should we drop it down to 6,000?
No, because we just issued some current use tax bills. We
Okay,
haven't issued many because we've been without an assessor, but we also have to take into consideration that we give 50% of that to the Conservation
right, so
Commission.
7,000 is a good number?
I felt comfortable putting it at 7,000. I think it'll end up being higher, but at the same time, I don't wanna,
Land use is, the property that people take out of current use, is that right?
yes.
So yield taxes.
Mhm.
Were higher this year.
Mm.
Because we've got 23,000, or does that also include other taxes?
No, yield taxes is just yield.
So when I'm looking at the detail, it has other taxes. So that also includes penalty and interest.
Yes, if you're looking at the revenue detail by account, it includes other taxes in this document, in the landscape document, revenue detail by account. So what I did is I looked at where we are as far as yield taxes already issued and what intents we currently have outstanding. So yield is timber.
So you're comfortable with the 14,000
Yes,
down from
down from 20.
20? With the payment in lieu of taxes, we still need to renegotiate that.
Right. This 65,000 is the payment that we did not receive last year. We received it this year. So that 65,000 is received.
Okay,
I don't have anything in there additional because I don't know what that,
right. 'cause
What
normally it's
negotiation
twice
will
that
be.
amount.
right.
In lieu of what taxes?
In lieu of property taxes, you do an agreement payment in lieu of taxes. So instead of property taxes, they give us a lump sum payment.
So this is the money from
We're talking
ampersand?
about the state, that's right.
No,
No, it's
Property
ampersand for the
ampersand Gilman.
So we have to renegotiate that. So excavation is pretty constant,
Yeah, excavation,
and then other taxes down a little bit?
slightly, yes.
And what is other taxes?
Penalties and interest? Well, that's not good.
No,
Hold on a second. think that's like our sewer tax. And I didn't print this big spreadsheet, or the big sheet, because it was like 70 pages. I'm gonna have to look on my other computer.
So interest and penalties are down.
Yes, slightly,
Okay, that's a good thing. People are paying their taxes
yes.
in a more timely manner.
Well, and we got rid of a bunch of, properties that were in lien last year with the
With the tax deeding.
so the
And also,
interest,
and then with all the work you did to get people to apply for,
that,
property
yeah,
tax
with
relief.
that grant, so that decreased our interest and penalties, because it decreased our delinquent taxes dramatically.
Now, it looks like we're up on motor vehicle permit fees. We've got 227,000 year to date, so should we bump up the anticipated revenue?
We can,
I mean, 'cause we're only a little bit more than halfway through the year, that's a significant increase.
yes. We can bump that up. Why didn't I bump that up?
That motor vehicle fees, is that money that stays here in the town or money that's gonna be sent to the state?
This is our revenue.
Okay.
I mean, is 300,000 too much?
Yeah, I think that,
Like 250?
Sure. Yeah, we could go up to 250. Is that what you wanna do? Do you wanna increase that?
I think so.
So what's the purpose of increasing it? Help me out with that.
So we have to anticipate our revenue. We have to estimate our revenue for the end of the year, and it goes into the calculation for setting the tax rate. It looks like other licenses, permits and fees are up as well.
I wonder if I was looking at the wrong column.
I'm sorry?
I may have been looking at the wrong column on a couple of these. Because I don't know why I would have kept that at 220. So other licenses, fees and permits were at 4217. No, wait,
And
hold
that's
on a minute. Hang on a second.
through July, right?
I'm still getting used to these reports, sorry. I think I made you guys copies of the wrong report. Because I'm looking at this report, which is January through September, so anything that would be in the system. I think this year-to-date, I think that year-to-date revised is what their system thinks we're getting. And that's not right. I think I made you guys copies of the wrong report. Give me a minute. Because on here, that wasn't making sense. Because on here, I have yield taxes at 5163. And I have motor vehicle at 142. Yeah, I didn't think, yeah, that's not sounding right. Let me go make copies of this. I copied the wrong report, I think. Okay, sorry. Too many moving parts today. See where it says year-to-date received at the top? Yep. That's what you should be looking at.
Okay, these numbers look
Yeah,
better.
that's why I'm like, that's not making much sense to me, what you're saying.
No. This was last year. Okay.
I think that's, so the system will go in and make a projection based on what you've already collected,
Okay.
but I don't feel that there's enough data in there for the system to be able to estimate that. Do you know what I mean?
So we really want to look at year-to-date receipts. And we
Yes.
look at the projection, which might make sense for some things, like
Right,
field taxes, but not for the,
correct.
not for the pilot.
So the year-to-date received is what we've received to date.
Okay.
So for other taxes, it was,
Okay, so like 15,668 for the penalties and fees, so 18,000 is probably reasonable.
right,
And the other taxes is sewer.
Correct.
13,000, so 19.5 would be reasonable, or?
And
this
that
isn't
sewer
projected
tax is under,
under the other taxes, right?
I think so, yes. So that other taxes would be the sewer bill times 4. It's like $4,900 or something. So that's why it comes out to 19.5.
Okay. And then the motor vehicles, this looks much more reasonable.
Yes,
So
that's
the
why
The 220 is probably the right estimate.
yes,
Because it looked like we had doubled it, which wasn't making sense.
which, right. Sorry about that. So then there's the other fees and licenses. I just left that at $2,250. I mean, we're at $2,300, but you're not gonna have, I mean, we could bump it up a couple $100, but it's not gonna make that big of a difference.
So the
Which one is that?
2250 is
Yeah.
a good number, right?
Item number 3290. It's at $2,250 and we brought in $2,300. We might bring in another $200 from subdivisions or lot line adjustments, but it's not gonna make that big of a difference. We can increase it if you want, but it's up to you. You wanna change it to 2,500 or something?
That probably makes sense, doesn't it? Because it includes dog licenses and,
But we won't really have any, we might have a onesie, twosie dog license, like if someone gets a new dog,
oh, it's like here in the spring,
right, that's when we really get slaughtered.
so maybe 2,300?
You could put it up to 2,500 because it also includes subdivision fees from the planning board. And we've had quite a bit going on there, so 2,500 is probably okay. There's nothing from federal.
And the state, we really have to rely on DRA to provide us those estimates, right?
Well, so meals and room tax, that's a calculation from the state. We projected 80,000. I think last year we projected the same amount and we ended up with 88,000. But I'd rather be low than high, because if we're anticipating on the revenue then we're short, I'd rather have a little extra.
Explain the meal tax again.
Meals and rooms tax is a calculated distribution of the tax funds that are collected by the state for hotel rooms, Airbnbs, and restaurants. And it's based on a calculation that DRA does based on population and other things. They basically tell us what we're getting, and we usually find out when we get it.
And we haven't gotten this year's distribution yet.
No, it comes the end of December. And then the highway block grant, we put in 83,000 because that's about what we got last year. This year we got the letter already. I brought that up in one of the last meetings, and it went down. We're at 70,000 for 2024.
And the bridge funding we already received,
Correct,
and if we don't spend it, then we have to return.
correct.
And then the water pollution grant,
That's the grant we got from CISA for the pump station
okay.
work that was done. We anticipated getting 16,000, but we only spent 14,797, so that's what we got. state and federal forest land reimbursement is what we get from the state for having federal forest land. Railroad distribution,
Not much.
No.
No.
maybe that'll go up if they turn the tracks back on.
Can you explain the highway, I don't mean to go back, but the highway block grant, that's from?
It's from the state of New Hampshire. It's based on a formula that they use that calculates how much money we get to maintain our roads.
So, last meeting or the meeting before, Jeanette gave us a summary of the payments that we'll get from that.
Yeah.
So the income from departments is mostly the transfer station. It's a little bit lower than I would have anticipated.
And we had a couple of years where it was higher.
Yeah.
So you feel comfortable with the 35,000?
Yes. I think we'll hit that.
Is everything finalized for the sale of municipal property, for the tax deeded properties?
Yes, the only thing that remains out there is the excess revenue that has to legally sit for so long, and they have to try and contact heirs or previous owners. And if that sits for so long, then there's a good chance that we could get those excess funds.
So the 140,000 doesn't include the excess revenue,
Correct.
it's just what comes back to us.
Correct. That 140,000 is the sale of the deeded properties, including Peterson's property, as well as cemetery plots.
Does it include the motor vehicles?
Yeah, it's all the, yeah. Yep.
And even if we have an auction later this year, we won't see the revenue until next year.
Probably not.
So interest on investments, it looks like maybe we should bump that up a little bit. You know, it's at year to date 3,500, and the system is projecting 4,700.
Yeah,
That probably includes a CD, which comes out in October.
it does. And I wasn't sure how much of that was realized or if any of it was realized yet, because she's still putting information in for August. So I would probably be comfortable adjusting that to like 4,000, but I don't know if I would go any higher than that. And the other miscellaneous revenue, I decreased that to 1,000. I think before we had a lot of things that were just thrown in that bucket, because we used QuickBooks
Yeah.
most of last year. And I think this year we've kind of fine tuned it so that we have more definitive categories. So I think some of that $10,000 that we originally anticipated has gone into a more meaningful category.
That's very helpful.
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
mean,
Because that used to be a bucket with.
It was just a
stuff,
catch-all.
And there were things that were.
Like, I know we
corrected
used to
every
put
year.
like election revenue in there and all different types of stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's good. Thank you for cleaning that up.
Yeah. And then as far as, am I moving too fast?
I just tried to keep up from one page to the other.
That's why I just want to make sure I'm not moving too fast. The, as far as the from trust fund or from capital reserves, so we put in 22,500 roughly for the defibrillator that the fire department ordered. The other amount making up this 128,560 is the $98,000 stone purchase that we made for the roads, because DRA said it did qualify to come out of our capital reserves since it is considered paving. So I put that whole amount in here, that we would be drawing that out of the capital reserves. There's obviously more, I think, that we could take out of there. We've got the floor work that we did, and then we've got,
Because we had thought that would come out of the building maintenance fund, depending on what our cash balance is like.
right,
the year.
we said that we were gonna wait and see where we were towards the end of the year. So there's that, and I thought there was one other thing. It may be the IT work that we had done for
The internet.
for bringing internet Wi-Fi into the gym and the computer cafe.
Yeah.
That was a couple thousand, and I thought there was something else. I'll have to go back and look through my notes, but I thought there was something else that was a few $1,000s. So we obviously have money in capital reserves that we could draw upon if we feel like we need to.
So we should probably just look at those numbers and bump this up a little bit.
Which numbers?
Flooring and the internet.
So do you want me to pull that out of capital reserve?
How are we doing cash wise? Do we want to wait until later in the year to decide that?
We're okay.
Okay.
We're all right still. October school payment won't be cut until we receive our money back out of the CD.
Okay.
So,
Well, this is absolute. And we'll have another chance when we finalize the tax rate if we need to update these numbers, right?
I think so.
I mean, it's better to have them and not have to go back and change it.
Right,
You've got to put it in the system and
Right.
Mary has to approve it.
yes. Yeah, so I submit it, I sign it, I submit it. This is the one that I sign and submit. If something happens, which I think we're gonna be okay as long as we get the tax rate set and the tax bills issued, so we can start collecting tax money at the beginning of December, we'll be fine. If we don't, then we'll have to do a TAN.
Right, because the other thing that would change this would be a TAN, or if we had to pull from our fund balance.
Correct. Which right now, we should not have to.
And we're not going to get any of the FEMA until next year at the earliest.
Probably. The FEMA stuff is a lot of work.
I mean, the ARPA grants were a lot of work.
Yeah.
I did all those, I know.
So,
Well, I think this looks like it's in good shape, especially for this early in the year.
considering, I mean, if you look at what we proposed was the 1,060,000, we're down to 820, but if you look at 335 of that being what we anticipated to have from a long-term note, we're in good shape.
We're
We're
Up a
really
little bit.
close.
when you
Yeah.
consider the long-term note.
Yes,
Money we spend on the roads.
yes.
Well, this doesn't have anything to do with the roads.
No, but
Yeah.
taking into consideration,
Right,
I mean, we're managing our revenue very wisely.
and we're obviously managing our expenses very well if we haven't put on money yet.
Yes. Yeah, we're watching it. Nancy and I are both. I do it on Mondays, she does it on Wednesdays. We're like, what do you think? You think we're good? Yep, we're good. And, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in decent shape.
I think this is good to go. It's,
I don't have a problem with it.
you know, the changes we talked about were going up a little bit on interest on investments, up to 4,000.
Yep.
On license permits and fees going up to 2,500.
Yep.
And that was really the only change, so those are pretty minor.
What I don't understand, and you'll have to help me understand it, I know that we spent a ton of money on the road. I
Mhm.
know you get that, you say you get it under control, but I can't. Where's it coming from? Where are we taking it from?
We have money in the bank.
The bank's got a lot of money, but.
No, we have money in the bank. Not the bank has money, we have money in the bank. We started this year in a very strong financial position. I mean, if you looked at our audit, you'd see that. But, I mean, we're managing things very tightly.
So we're kind of, basically, I think we're not spending in other areas like we had planned.
Right.
So that's why, and our tax revenue has been probably higher than we had anticipated.
Well, the tax revenue was a little bit higher, but I think over the course of the last year or so, people have realized that they've got to start making their tax payments a priority. So, I mean, getting those 7 or 9 homes up to date with taxes last year was huge for us. I mean, we collected, I don't remember specifically, but I think we were close to like $50,000 or $60,000 in delinquent taxes last year.
Yeah, I know it was.
So that helped a lot.
Yeah. So what's in the bank, that is the fund, you've been calling that the fund balance?
No, the fund balance is money that is with DRA that we are required to have in case of emergencies, so on and so forth. There is an actual fund balance.
When we set our tax rate, we're required, I think that has to be between 7 and 17%.
I think it's 5 and 18, and I think we're right around 12, which is very healthy.
12% above what we take in. Is that what you're saying, or 12% of what we take in?
I think it's based on expenditures,
Yeah, I think it's based on what we've spent.
the prior year.
And yeah, so like this year, we look at last year. Except we look at this year's revenues, so it's
Okay, so
very convoluted.
I think I'm understanding that. But tell me, what about you said we got money in the bank, what is that?
Money in the bank, like in Pasumsic Bank.
Yeah.
We have money.
Do you
Okay,
have
explain it to me.
the AP folder out here still?
It's the balance we have in our bank accounts. Yeah, it's right there, that first, yep. So
Now, is that
every time-
accumulated over the years, or a balance that we brought in last year for taxes?
There
or-
may have been some money that came in from last year.
We basically start fresh every January.
Our budget and our revenues start fresh every January. But there's money that we've collected and not spent that rolls over in our bank account, just like your bank account.
Mhm.
So I
this is our
print that
general
with every,
fund. This is the money we write checks out of.
That's what you passed out the other day for everybody.
No, this isn't with the AP every month, every time we do AP.
every time you sign checks, that's in the folder.
This is an updated with the checks taken out of it.
Mhm.
So this is our balance after these checks were cut. This is the general fund. This is a debit card. We have a separate account for that so that we can't like draw down all the money we have if it were hacked or lost or whatever. So we have a policy that we keep a certain balance in there. This is a paper bag that's, separate. This is our sweep account. So when this account gets low, money automatically goes from here into here. In fact, based on balances. So the total amount that we have to spend the rest of the year is basically these two. Remember, we spend about $100,000 a month
Yeah.
for the school. We have about $550,000 or something in December for the county, or $450,000.
$500,000, yep.
Yeah. So, in December, we need that tax revenue because it's not gonna cover this. And these won't cover every month for the rest of the year for the school. We need to get that tax revenue in.
So if we don't get tax revenue in the beginning of December to cover the county tax bill, we have to take out a loan.
Which we don't want to do if we don't have to.
Correct.
And that TAN that we talk about is a tax anticipation note.
Can I get a copy of that? Can I get a copy of that?
Sure.
Take a picture of it.
No, just send me a copy of it.
I mean,
It'll change.
you
Can we
see,
do
I know they changed,
Yeah.
but I would, if you could send me a copy, I appreciate it. Well, it makes a little bit more sense, because I know that a lot was going on the road, and I didn't understand where the heck it come from. Where we getting it?
that's because we've got it.
Yeah,
We
but
haven't spent in other areas. We've controlled.
as a
As a
board,
town.
we need to know that you got it, so it's easier to,
I show it to you every time you sign checks, Tom.
well, we'll talk about that more later, I'm not gonna do that right now.
I'm just saying, it's
I mean,
there.
that's why I knew it was in there, because I look at it every time we have AP checks. And then we, once a month, been looking at all the expenditures.
Okay.
Do you need anything from us as a board?
I think you guys just need to, I don't know if you should probably vote to approve the MS 434 as amended.
I make a motion that we approve the MS 434 as presented and amended.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So that's the first part of setting our tax rate. I'd like to say it'll be submitted tomorrow, but it's election day, so probably not till Wednesday. If my brain hasn't.
Thank you for staying on top of this and doing it at such a timely notice.
I will
I think
tell
this is a
you,
record.
the new software made this so much easier than going through that QuickBooks report that was 70 pages long.
Before you started and I was doing it, it took me, I wouldn't even say hours, days.
So much easier.
And that's important this year because you're doing so much with the FEMA and tracking all of that, so.
So the only thing I have left is I have non-public.
I make a motion that we go into non-public.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Eric, do you plan to go back into public session?
No.
Thank you.
Well, to seal minutes and put your,
To adjourn, yeah.
and to seal minutes,
Huh?
and to decide whether we're going to seal minutes or not.
Okay,
for the
thanks.
non-public.
Nothing interesting is basically what we're saying.
No.
Technicalities. you. Thanks for coming.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Coming tomorrow.
Of course, I'm here all day tomorrow. I think they'd lose it if I didn't show up.
I would.